We are infinite beings in a biosuit. We really have to let that sink in. Okay. And, and that means the infinity that is within us is endless. It's endless, no beginning, no end. Okay. Our capacity to create from that space is endless. Our imagination, our dream realms, all the different abstract, um, abstract levels of our cognitive capacity, that is closely in resonance with our infinite nature. Okay. Some might call that the feminine force. Okay. And some might call, right, the abstract, the feminine force, and then the linear, indirect, the masculine force. Okay. And uh, these are just labels to provide an understanding and perspective. I'm not saying anything is absolutely anything, right? You guys know me. I have my opinion until I change my mind, right? And remember, I'm saying things as their thoughts, their ideas, their you can maybe even call them abstractions that perhaps land in such a way that open you up to a thought and idea that you haven't had before. Okay, this is why I do these, because it's not about the being right or wrong in a concrete way. It's about having perspectives and angles and thoughts about things that can open things up. Okay, so if we go with the abstract being the feminine and the linear direct being masculine, what I see, happening here is that there is an amazing alchemical harmonization and balance happening with people. When we are imbalanced in our linear directness versus our abstractness, our spiritual. Because what I see happening with me getting involved in live blood analysis, there is a merging of the spiritual reality and the science. There's a merging of this. And when you merge those things together, you get a whole nother perspective on the narratives that are happening. Oh my gosh. So this is the most important part that I wanted to get to with saying all these things. So for example, our dear sister Starshine, who's that doctor in Seattle, Anna Maria, very linear. All the people that she is working with, very linear. And I mean, she's calling for charges to be brought up for crimes against humanity. And she's got a whole list of characters she thinks should be charged, right? And when you listen to her information, when you listen to her findings and her data, it's very intense. Same thing with, well, pretty much everybody that's in the medical community talking about these things, right? Very, very intense, very heavy, and it's and it's triggering. I can see why. And I'm saying this way because what we're watching, or what I feel like I'm watching with that, is that there is a over dominance of that masculine direct intellect, right? It's a dominance of that, and it's imbalanced. It's not balanced out with the abstract and the spiritual understanding of reality. And what I mean by that is that spiritual understanding of reality, going right back to where we were in the very beginning. We are infinite beings in a biosuit. We have a divine nature that's birthright. Okay. And what that means is that the possibilities are endless because we are infinite. So the feminine force carries the mystery of the infinite. Okay. The linear, direct male intellect that I'm calling masculine, doesn't have that component in its rationale, in that component in its thoughts. You know what I mean? It's like, this is wrong and that's right. This is like this and that's like that. And yes, there is observation and the scientific method for those that actually use it. But when people are processing information inside themselves, there's an imbalance. There's a masculine dominance or feminine absence, or maybe it just kind of bit mixed matched, And I feel like when I got exposed going into this more scientific aspect of research, that I realized like doors just like opened inside my mind, and I realized there is an alchemical coming together happening here, and because of that all alchemical realization, because of the science and the spiritual reality coming together into one reality, I'm finding there's a lot of power and a lot of freedom And a lot of miraculous realizations come with this. So as I go deeper into this narrative, I'm finding out amazing things, and they're not amazing things that are like super alarming where, you know, you're not going to sleep for 4 or 5 days because this information is so, you know, heavy and hard, or, you know what I mean, jarring. Really what it is, all this information is coming, and it's all landing in creating a picture that is liberating. It's liberating from the polarized narratives, the divisive narratives. You know, I mentioned the things that get thrown off when someone dances the jibbity jab. You know, that is a polarizing narrative, right? That one that exists, right? Which I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that's not the full picture. That's this tiny picture that's very conveniently put out there. It's allowed to be put out there because it divides, because it inflames. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not saying this doctor who I love reading her Substack and learning from the different people that she brings onto her channel. No. This is all very valuable information. I believe that these people all really believe the data that they're sharing. They're sincere. What I'm saying is that this is a limit in perspective because there's an imbalance within themselves, within humanity, and this is what we're being called to alchemize. So during the La Cucaracha, it was really, really hard. Things were so freaking polarized. Families got torn apart, communities got torn apart, you know, all that happened. But here we are all these years later. And now, just now, we're starting to see the fruits of why this was a valuable experience for the collective of humanity. Okay. It's because this is all about waking us up, guys. And it's not about waking us up to the control systems and we're a slave planet, though that is a perspective, and that argument can absolutely be built, right? But what it is, it's waking us up to our divinity. That's what this is about. Waking us up to the fact that we are infinite beings in a biosuit, and none of this can actually have control of us unless we choose that. And I know we still have a ways to get there fully. But what I'm saying is I'm starting to see the crowning of that. I'm starting to see the rebirthing coming forward with that. Okay. So I am more encouraged than ever for humanity right now. And I know there's so many narratives you can pile on. Do you know this? And do you know that? And this and that and this and that. It's like, you know what? Chances are, yes, I've heard it before. Is it true? It might be true, but it doesn't matter if it's true. That, you know, and I have to tell you, that's frustrated so many dear friends of mine. But I'm realizing all this personal work that I'm doing to alchemize my inner masculine feminine dance, and also the blind spot and the growth and expansion of consciousness. It's all hitting a very potent place right now.